All right. Thank you for staying with Citizen TV Daybreak Conversation. We're talking about the 7th Annual Devolution Conference. It's a big deal because, first of all, it's talking about climate change affecting every single person in all the 47 counties. But it is happening in Makueni. It had been cancelled earlier on because of the restrictions on public gatherings. Let's find out how it's going to happen this time with the impact to the people and why this conference is important. The 7th Annual Devolution Conference. His Excellency James Ongwae, Vice Chair, Council of Governors, also the Chair, Steering Committee of the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, is joining us online. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Florence Mwangangi, Speaker, Machakos County Assembly and the Deputy Chairperson, County Assemblies Forum, is with me here in studio. Thank you for making time. We're still waiting for His Excellency Francis Kimemia, Governor for Nyandarua County, also the Chair, Water, Forestry, Natural Resource Committee at the Council of Governors. As soon as he comes in, we'll drop him into the conversation. But let's start off with His Excellency Ongwae and find out, just give us a general overview of how the Devolution Conference is going to happen, when, where, how, because it had been cancelled earlier on. Do we have now the plans in place?
Thank you very much, Trevor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are clear, Governor.
Thank you very much, and I also thank your TV for the informative nature that you handle most of our national issues. Now, the annual devolution conferences have been happening since devolution happened, and the main aim of the devolution conferences is to share experiences as we started the implementation programs as the subnational governments came into being. And this is the 7th Annual Devolution Conference, and in fact, the last Annual Devolution Conference as we have known them over the last 7 years. And from now onwards, we are going to have biannual devolution conferences. This conference should have been held last year. It was postponed because of COVID. Then it was supposed to be held in August. It was also postponed because of COVID. And now we got a green light from the Ministry of Health that the conditions were such that we could hold the conference. So the conference is all going to be held in Wote in Makueni County from 23rd to 26th of this month. That's in the next few days to come. And this conference, the main theme of the conference is multi-level governance for climate action. And the sub-theme is subnational mobilization in unlocking the full potential of climate action during and after pandemics. So that is what is going to be discussed, and it's coming immediately after the Glasgow conference, the COP19, and I think we are the first country in this world to hold a conference after Glasgow, which is very, very good for us, because by the time that we get to the next Paris Agreement in 2022, you will find that we are ahead of most countries. So in arranging this conference, there was an intergovernmental committee that was set up. The committee is chaired by myself, co-chaired actually, by myself and the CS Devolution. Initially, if it had been held in August, then my co-chair would have been CS Wamalwa. But the transfers happened, and now my co-chair is Charles Keter, the CS Devolution. And the other people that we're working with very, very closely are who are also in the steering committee are the Ministry of Environment, especially the Director for Climate Change, the Ministry of Health, the Office of the Presidency in general. I think those are the main ones, and also the Senate. The chair for devolution committee in Senate is also a member. Yeah. And the County Assemblies Forum. The secretary of the County Assemblies Forum is also a member. Yeah. So it's completely intergovernmental. It embraces the county governments, the two levels of county governments, the county assemblies and the executive part of the county governments. and embraces the Senate, because the chair of the Senate Committee on Devolution, including other members, in fact, is 2 members from there who normally attend, Senator Kajuang and Senator Rose Nyamunga, who are members of the Devolution Committee of the Senate, that are members of this particular committee.
Yeah.
And so it's a completely intergovernmental committee, because even their attendance at the end of the day will also be completely intergovernmental.
Yeah. So what is the attendance going to look like, Governor? How many people will be allowed? How will you ensure COVID-19 restrictions are adhered to?
Now, in normal circumstances, we would have had over 6,000 delegates. In the other conferences, they had over 6,000 delegates, but we agreed with the Ministry of Health that we cap them at 3,000 delegates. And what we also agreed is that anybody attending this particular function must be fully vaccinated, which means they must have 2 vaccinations. The measures that we have put in place are such that everybody who is coming there would have been fully vaccinated. The secretariat that is going to be set up is going to ensure that anybody who is coming in, apart from the security, we are going to have 2 security checks. One, the normal security check from the Ministry of Interior, working very, very closely with the Makueni County government. And the second check is the medical check, where we are checking everybody who's coming in. Of course, is going to come in with a certificate of vaccination, and you know that we have certificates of vaccination. So everybody who's going to come in is going to show the certificate of vaccination. And if we are not satisfied, we can check online very easily to find out whether the certification that we've got is correct. The second measure that was taken was that we went to Makueni and discussed very, very closely with the Makueni government, and they were supported by the Ministry of Health, because the Ministry of Health are part of the steering committee. So they were given more doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, to ensure that they vaccinate all the stakeholders. By the stakeholders, we mean the hoteliers, we mean the border, we mean anybody that would probably come into contact with the participants of the devolution conference. We also actually ensured that all this is done, and also in a sense it has helped the Makueni government to increase their vaccination, because they got more vaccines than any other county in that sense.
Okay. Governor, stay with me. Let me bring in Honorable Mwangangi on this. Honorable Mwangangi, we are talking about the multi-level governance on climate action. What are the contributions of the county assemblies towards climate action in the counties?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Trevor, even for this opportunity for me to be here. The issue of county assemblies is very critical when it comes to climate action. We remember that under Article 69 of the Constitution, the state is given the mandate to ensure the issue of climate change is addressed. And indeed, also the individuals, all of us have that responsibility. So the county assemblies comes in by way of approvals of policies from the county executive for purposes of managing the climate change. They also come in on the issue of legislation. And I just want to point out that at this moment, we have about 34 county assemblies that have passed law on climate change. And the others are remaining, are still working on their legislation. For example, my county assembly at the moment is just about to conclude on regulations for the funding. You remember that the United Nations is giving some funding to address climate change, especially in the county governments. So we already are in the way of getting nearly over 1 billion shillings to address the issue of climate change. And I know there are a few other counties that have already got that fund, and it is going to go a long way to addressing climate change, especially in the arid and semi-arid areas. My county is one that is suffering, of course, from now the effects of climate change, and we're taking it very seriously. Thank you.
All right. And Governor, let me bring you back in on this conversation, Governor. So Why climate change, though? It is a fantastic time because it's right after COP26. But is this the biggest challenge in the counties as we speak?
As we speak, you really are not talking about counties. You are talking about this country, our country, Kenya. And you are looking at our own development and what is affecting that development. If you look at the effects of climate, so far, we have got a very, very serious problem in the management of our own climate. It has effects on food security. It has effects on even national security itself, the general security that you can be talking about. Because of the rising temperatures, because of the weather patterns that are changing continuously, because of rainfall, shortage in rainfall. I'll give you a very good example, Trevor. When I was actually growing up, the local river that I used to know, we could go there and swim, but that river doesn't exist anymore, which means that my kids actually won't even know that there was a river that was there. For some of us in the counties, those who are doing boreholes and so on, you do a borehole and the water levels keep on changing, so some of the boreholes actually become dry. We have water points that we work on and we improve on them. The normal water points that used to be there even as we grew up, where our forefathers and so on used to go and collect water. Those water points, when we work on them, after some time the water level actually goes down. And I don't know whether you want to start digging again to find where the water level has reached. So in a sense, you can see the fights that are going on in Laikipia and other areas. You can see that even the future generations are actually threatened by what is going on. So the deforestation also that is happening, not only in Kenya but all over the world, the need to increase the forest cover, I think, to a minimum of 10%, is an issue that as a nation we need to converse on and see that we are able to agree on it. And that's why you can see there was a lot of fight and a lot of discussion even on the Mau issue. Because even on the Mau, we were not even talking about the current generation, we were talking about posterity. That you continue degrading the environment. What are you actually doing to our future and to our sons and daughters and so on? So this is current in this world as we speak. It has a lot of effect on development. It has a lot of effect on food security. And if you do not talk about climate now, then you are actually in trouble. If you postpone it to tomorrow, it takes a very long time to get to a tree that is fully grown.
Yeah.
If you planted one right now, even in your own compound, Trevor, it will take you probably about 10 years.
Yeah.
So we are having a serious problem here that needs to be mitigated, and that is why you got the United Nations got itself into the Paris Agreement of 1992. And it is out of the Paris Agreement that the conference of parties then came up. That's how you're getting the COP96.
Yeah. Honorable Mwangangi, let me bring you back into this. You mentioned issues around the budgets of 1 billion shillings allocated, but you also said only 34 counties have so far passed the legislation. What is delaying the other 13?
There are usually a lot of issues, especially when it comes to legislation, most of it which will be local. Yeah. Perhaps also the willpower, and of course other issues that will touch with the management generally in the county governments. So what I would do is to urge all my colleagues, especially in the county assemblies, to expedite whatever it is that needs to be done to pass the legislations that address the issue of climate change. Because as we are talking currently, we are seeing mostly in the arid and semi-arid areas, the rains have already failed. Yeah. Last night I just had a little drizzle on the rooftop. In the morning I find it's still dusty as I'm leaving my home in Machakos. So this is a matter, just like the governor says, that we need to take seriously. And all of us have a duty. And indeed, internationally, if you look at the issue that, caused global warming, that has resulted into the climate change that we're talking about, it was about industrialization. And this is a benefit to the industrialized world, already developed. And it's about now providing the funding to address the issue of climate change. And that is what has been the discussion and conversation all the way from the UNFCCC 1992 to date, resting with the Glasgow Climate Pact, because it's about financing the issue of addressing climate change. And coming close home, we still need to address the issue of exploitation of the mineral resources that we have. I once worked as the chair of the Public Complaints Committee on Environment, and I remember visiting Mandera, and the hills were disappearing because of mining quarries that are being done haphazardly. And we have the Ministry of Mining, and we also have the Mining Act. We have the Environmental Management Act, a lot of good laws about managing the climate. But then apparently implementation is wanting. That is why we need to seriously take the issue of climate change, so that we can address how are we doing our exploitation of mineral resources. Is it sustainable? And is it as per the SDGs? Is it as per our Vision 2030 on addressing the issue of climate change in this country?
On Mwangangi, it is this collective participation that I'm stuck on. The governor said that we're looking at 10% forest cover. You will then need everyone to participate.
Oh, sure.
So these policies that you're passing, what are the most practical steps for someone who's living in a village or somewhere in Machakos, for example? What do they need to do? Number one, do you need to pass policies and say that in each and every homestead you must have at least 5 trees? Will that help?
Now, first we have to do sensitization. We have to put aside budgets, and I am believing that part of this money that is to address climate change should go to intense participation, public participation and sensitization of the public. Because you go to some homes and you notice that they don't have even one single tree. I think we lost it at one point. Personally, I grew up in an environment where I know I must plant a tree almost every other moment there are rains. And so if we take it up like a collective duty, as you put it, then we'll make a change. But you notice that then the government also comes in. And that's where the Constitution mandates the state to make policies and to take whatever other action that is going to assist the public in addressing the issue of climate change. So it is not just about passing policies. You must make the public buy into the idea of now changing this climate. And I like the idea where the governor said there used to be a river nearby his home when he was young. I think it is the same of all of us of that age. And we would go to lots of swamps where we are growing dormants or arrowroots. We hardly have any of them today. So it is a matter where we all need to take action. And the 10% tree cover, which is actually in the Constitution, is a matter that we were supposed to achieve by 2022. And 2022 is just 1 month away. So what action do we put so that we can achieve, even if not the 10% forest cover as expected in the Constitution, as of 2010 when we passed it, what do we need to do? And my proposal is intensive tree planting. But then another issue arises. In some of the areas, most of them really, water is an issue. Like if you look at Machakos, we don't have water. Even for drinking is hard to come by safe and sufficient clean water. So what we need to do, a collective action, not only for county governments, but even for the national government and even at the international level, so that we provide water. The first thing I'm being asked when I talk to people in my county about tree planting, they ask me, how do we nurture them when we don't have water? Right? And I have been in places like Yatta, I've been in places like Masinga, and you really feel it for the people. You tell them to plant trees and they don't have water for drinking. So the priority would be to give them water and then talk about now planting trees. Because if you look at the rain patterns, they have changed. We don't have rains, which we can use to grow trees. So it is an action that we need to take seriously, not only at the county government level, at the national government level, at the international level, and then at the individual level.
All right. Governor, and Honorable Mwangangi is raising a very interesting perspective there. Is this a lack of policy issue, or is it just a lack of goodwill from the people? And what are the most practical steps to take? Because if you're going to plant 10 trees, for example, should you instruct every village and every homestead to do that? And can they even do it? Do they have enough water for it? Because there's a difference between tree planting and tree growing. So what are the most practical steps that people should take now?
Now, and that's why in the COP26, that's why the main arguments are about increasing the financing for the mitigation measures that should be put in place. And that is why, as a Council of Governors, we urged and we actually sent out circulars to all the county governments to ensure that they pass legislations, but it's not just passing legislations as a fancy, but also to include the mitigation measures and the financials. Now, she has talked about 34 counties that have passed. If you look at my own county, Kisii County, for instance, the act that we passed has got an institutional framework that goes up to the ward level. At the ward level, we have an institutional framework that involves not only the people that are working in the county government, but involves the stakeholders. That is, for instance, at the ward level, we have a ward planning committee where we have one male elder, we have one female elder, we have a youth, we have a female youth, we have people living with disability. We have both male and female. They are given one position each. We have community-based organizations at the ward that will be identified. So in that institutional frameworking, we went up to the ward because we were cognizant of the fact that some of these policies and the legislations that are actually passed can only, at the subnational level, can only be effective if you are getting up to the ward. And for us, and especially, and I have to give my own county as an example, in the budget that we passed for that is covering this particular year, we've set aside, I think it's 100 million shillings supporting the mitigation measures that will be put in place at the ward level. And we intend to actually increase that amount by the time that we get into supplementary. We might increase that. We are definitely going to increase that amount. And also what came out of the COP26 in Glasgow, the developed countries were urged. In fact, they just passed a resolution that they multiply whatever they were giving, whatever they had agreed in the last Paris Agreement. Because the Paris Agreement is a continuous agreement. There is going to be another Paris Agreement in 2022. One of the resolutions is that they multiply the amount of resources that they are going to give to, especially emphasis was put that they are going to give to developing countries, where Kenya was one of the initial signatories of during the 1992 agreement. And therefore, we are part and parcel of the support that would be given by the developed countries. So the resources that would come from the developed countries would then support the resources that would have been raised at the subnational level, and also support the resources that national government has put aside. Because as you recall, in 2016, our own parliament actually passed the Climate Change Act, and therefore, I can say without any equivocation that as a subnational government and as a Council of Governors, proper direction has been given on this particular issue, and all the county governments are definitely going to put acts in place, but those acts would be supported by the financial support in their budgets. Yeah. And every county is also supposed to put in place a director in charge of climate change. In Kisii County, I've already actually identified a director who is in charge of climate change, and other officers that are supporting that institutional framework at the headquarters level, and also at the sub-county level, and up to the ward level.
Okay. Well, Mwangangi, you know, the biggest issue has always been oversight. In fact, the Auditor General, Nancy Gadungu, is blaming the lackluster performance of county assemblies to oversight the executive and lack of capacity and even weak structures. Do you agree with her? And first, that is first, but how then will you ensure that the funds that are allocated are used for the right purpose?
Thank you, Trevor. Really, I wouldn't say that the oversight is lackluster. The issue is capacity on the county assemblies. And I've said this before in different forums, and more so on the BBI issue. Because if you look at county assemblies, they are normally given their finances by the county executive. And until the county executive releases the funds, the MCAs do not have salaries. Even myself as a speaker, I don't have a salary. But that is not the same scenario at the National Parliament. Because you know that National Parliament has the Parliamentary Service Commission. And that is a constitutional commission which has a budget of its own. Nobody dictates how that financing is to be for purposes of the activities of the Parliament. So when you give the governor the mandate to decide when he pays the MCAs, what are we talking about oversight? All right? And I've been saying that let the Senate and let the National Assembly take the matter of giving county assemblies the financial autonomy. So that when it comes to matters of oversight, they do not have to look over their shoulders and worry about their salaries if they are going hard on the governor by way of oversight. But that notwithstanding, we still have issues, especially of capacity amongst the members of the assembly, because when they require to attend to whatever legislation on the preparation of issues that address climate change or climate action, we're still short of funding. At the moment, the members of my county assembly are in Mombasa, those who are in the Environment Committee. And we had to look for funding. It came through the GIZ so that they can go and finalize on regulations that are going to put it in place the Environment Management fund. Because under the Public Finance Management Act, we must have that fund created by way of regulations. We don't have those funds even as we're talking now, because we would have managed it even at county assembly level. But now look at us going to look for financing to be able to address the policies and the laws that we need to manage climate change. So it is time that we looked at this issue, positively, not only from the point of the Ministry of Devolution, and also from the Ministry, the Senate, and the national government at large. Let us capacitate county assemblies financially, and then also technically. Let us have these trainings every other time, because they are the ones who are the link to the public. And I like the issue of devolving the issue of addressing climate change to the lowest level, because that is what devolution is all about. In the villages, in the households, let them be sensitized. And that way, the MCS can do it, because remember, they are the closest leaders to the public. Every morning, every evening, they are with them. And they can actually talk to them in a way they understand about managing the climate change. But then again, I remember you also mentioned the issue of what is it that is the problem? Is it that we don't have the policies or the laws? I can tell you for sure that we have the policies and we have the laws. Very good policies, very good laws. But then it's about implementation. And there are many factors that play into the implementation issue that we find that it is wanting in one way or another. And I would say also even the goodwill. Why is it that the public would go out of its way to pollute a river like the Athi River? That even when we do a Thwake Dam, which is going to serve the ICT city for the lower eastern Kenya, that even the president is addressing the issue of the pollution of the Athi River. Why do the industrialists decide that the Athi River is the one where they are going to channel the effluent from the industries? Why can't we take it up as a matter also individually and also at the government level? Why is it that we are having carbon emissions from the factories? Because there are standards as to what kind of emissions that you have to release to the environment, because you have to treat it. Why don't we do it voluntarily, knowing that nature and Mother Nature is all we have?
Yeah.
We take care of it or we all perish.
Okay.
Thank you.
Governor, what do you think should be done to ensure that the county assemblies somehow have a much better oversight capacity? Because even you as the governor, as long as the policies are passed, you can't be everywhere at the same time. You will still need support.
Thank you very much. And I listened to Mwangangi talking about financial independence. We are on national TV, but I would want just to indicate that county assemblies are completely financially independent. I think what the law that she is talking about that should be changed, I don't know whether it can be changed, because what that law says is that we have one county government. And that county government, the chief executive, of course, is the governor. The deputy chief executive is the deputy governor. That is in law, and that there will be one treasury. So what she's talking about is that we create a second treasury. It can't, of course, like in this country, we have only got one treasury for this country that serves both national and county governments. At the county level, we have one treasury that serves both the executive and the county assemblies, and they access their own funds independently. The only thing is that the treasury is actually, it's like a transit house. Their budget is clear. The money is passed through the treasury, and I would be very, very shocked if there is a county government that doesn't pass, the county treasury that does not pass any resources to the county assemblies. So they are financially independent. That has never been an issue. I don't think it's an issue. And the county assemblers who are listening to me are probably also agreeing on that. What could be an issue are the problems of institutionalizations, the problem of the growing nature of subnational governments, that county assemblies are also growing, just like a small child grows, where the kid starts crawling and then starts walking and so on. I think devolution is growing. And the second problem is that their oversight capacity, some of it has been taken over by the Senate. And that is why county governments, actually, the Council of Governors went to court to indicate that we have county assemblies that should oversight us. Yeah. Now we have a Senate that is also oversighting us. Wouldn't we be having double jeopardy if we continue with this type of situation where you have a county assembly that is oversighting you, and when it finishes the oversight, then the Senate also comes in to oversight you? That is the argument of double jeopardy. And we went to court on that. And I think recently, if you saw, there was a court ruling that was saying that this is an issue that the Constitution was very clear, that the oversight at the subnational level, at the county government level, was supposed to be done by county assemblers. And so I support her on that. I do not think that they have a problem. I don't think that in my own county, they look at the county assembly has been looking at my books of accounts, and I think that should happen in all the counties. Yeah.
Honorable Mwangangi, should we, I know you want to respond to the governor.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I just want to remind the governor that the last signature for money to go to county assemblies comes from the CC Finance. And the CC Finance is normally in the county executive. And this is where the problem arises, because if the governor is not on the same line with the MCAs, the governor will decide that Form C is not going to be signed and the county assembly is not going to get its finances, because what we have been proposing is not creating two treasuries for county governments, is to have the funding of the county assemblies go direct to the operational account of the county assemblies. And I refer to the Parliamentary Service Commission. You find that the money for the National Parliament goes direct to the Parliamentary Service Commission, and it is not coming through the office of the President. But that is the case now as we're talking with the case of county assemblies. So that is just a matter that I wanted to clarify on the issue of the independence financially of county assemblies.
All right. I have to take a quick break here on Daybreak. When you come back, we're talking about the 7th Annual Devolution Conference. They were expecting 6,000 delegates, but because of COVID-19, it's been cut down to 3,000. It's happening on the 23rd to the 26th of December. That is coming up in just a bit. I see a lot of your questions coming through here. And then we'll get that. It's not December, actually. It's in this month, November, 23rd to 26th. All right? See you in just a bit. Keep sending your tweets at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV. Can you use the hashtag Daybreak? I see some of your questions. We'll be posing them to Governor Ongwae, who's with us here as the Chair Steering Committee on the 7th Annual Devolution Conference. And Honorable Florence Mwangangi is still here with us as well, Deputy Chairperson, County Assemblies Forum. See you in just a bit.